RQ means respiratory quotient. Respiratory quotient. Respiratory quotient means it's basically a calculation when a respiratory substrate is being respired. Anything they are using to release energy we call respiratory substrate. So only one respiratory substrate we discuss here, glucose. What happened to the glucose molecule? That's what we discuss. But different cells, they have different preferences. For example, if someone doesn't have glucose, sometimes they can go towards the lipids. So respiratory substrate can be lipids. So they undergo different way. Yeah? So this is respiration for glucose we discuss. So sometimes lipids they are using to break down. Sometimes they are using proteins to break down. So when they break down and release energy, so we can calculate a value called RQ. So in the RQ what we do is, we calculate, we get a ratio carbon dioxide to oxygen. What is the meaning of that? During the respiration of this respiratory substrate, how much carbon dioxide is released divided by how much oxygen is absorbed. This is called RQ value. Let's put to the glucose. Glucose what? C6H12O6 plus 6 oxygen, 6 carbon dioxide plus 6 H2O. This is the reaction, right? So find out RQ for glucose. Carbon dioxide release 6. Oxygen absorb 6. RQ for glucose is 1. Very simple. So if they say in the question, one organism use a respiratory substrate and RQ value is 1, you should know they are talking about glucose. Clear? Like that, for lipids and proteins, they have different RQ values. Different RQ values. Because the amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide they are dealing are different substrate to substrate. Different substrate to substrate. Okay. See the RQ values given now, you know, for the glucose it is 1. Because the same amount of carbon dioxide release, same amount of oxygen absorb. But talk about lipids. That is the lowest RQ value. You have to remember the values. Lipids 0.7, protein 0.9. So for the lipids, 0.7 means, tell me, carbon dioxide, oxygen, which is higher? In order to become 0.7, lipids, right? Lipids 0.7 is the value. In order to 0.7 to get, which should be higher here? Oxygen or carbon dioxide? Listen to this, Nisal. What should be higher here? Oxygen. This value should be greater than this value. What is the meaning of that? More oxygen is required to break down lipid. That's the meaning of that, no? Right? More oxygen is required to break down lipids. What is the meaning of more oxygen is required? Remember, oxygen is required when the hydrogen comes down. Now, more oxygen required means what? More hydrogens are available. That's the meaning of that, right? More hydrogens are available means what? More hydrogen gradient is maintained. More hydrogens are coming through the ATP synthase. Therefore, what you talking about, what you can say about the ATP they produce? High or low? High or low? More hydrogen comes through means more ATP. That's why lipids gives you more energy than the carbohydrates per same gram. Because they have a lot of hydrogen. You know the ratio of lipids, right? Ratio, always lipid molecules contain more hydrogen. More hydrogen therefore in the space. More hydrogen comes through. More ATP is produced. That's why more oxygen is required to get that hydrogen. Remember, lower the RQ value means good energy source. Lower the RQ value is good energy source but hard to break down because you need more oxygen. Alright? So protein also that way. So, but the easiest to breaking down is glucose. That's why everyone likes glucose. All the cells like glucose. For example, only some cells are there, they only need glucose, like brain cells. But most of the cells, if the glucose is done, they can go for lipids. If it is done, they can go for proteins like that. So, those are the different respiratory substrates. So, understand this scenario. Why oxygen is greater? Because more hydrogen is there. Why more hydrogen is there? Because lipids supply more hydrogen. More hydrogen means more ATP. Understand that is very important point.